from 5 backward to 1, and then we'll start, okay? And you'll see I'm now recording this meeting also, just as a backup. If for some reason it didn't stream to YouTube or something like that, then we have a recording of it, okay?
Good.
All right, so I'm gonna start now. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, Brian.
Okay, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the virtual Board of Education meeting tonight. I'd like to call the meeting to order and ask for everyone to please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, before we get started, I want to again apologize, but also let the community know that the board has decided to move this meeting to a remote meeting due to the snowstorm that we are currently having, and that we will carry our business forward as per the posted agenda. So we'll start with, is there any public comment to be brought before the board tonight?
So Mr. Nolan, we did not receive any comments as of 3 p.m. today. So there were no public comments at this time.
Okay.
And then I could roll right into the superintendent's report if you'd like.
That would be great. Yep. Thank you.
Okay. So I wanted to just thank all of our students, families, and staff for their ongoing efforts in terms of dealing with COVID-19 in our schools, and for their continued efforts and really the success that we're having. To date, we've had 38 positive cases of students or staff within the school. And I have to tell you that the Department of Health is consistently praising the measures we have in place to limit the number of close contacts and potentially impacted individuals. I wanted to just thank the community for their ongoing support, certainly our students, our families, and our staff. I wanted to also mention that there's been some talk and discussion around micro clusters. It's an initiative on the part of the governor with respect to requirements. Should you be in a designated zone, then there's some testing requirements associated with it. I'm going to be sending out a letter from my office tomorrow about micro clusters and that initiative, so be on the lookout in your email for that. And then finally, you may have heard already that we do have a snow day tomorrow, and that is a traditional snow day. And I hope that you all received a phone call from me. And it certainly wasn't my doing. The voices of our Bayville Intermediate 5th grade chorus from last year, you know, they sang that last year in the early part of the year, and then we didn't have any snow days. So it was a great opportunity to use that. So I hope everybody enjoys the day off tomorrow, and I'm sure it's much needed from everybody. And then lastly, from my office, from the district, and certainly I think on the behalf of the Board of Education, we'd like to wish everybody a very happy and healthy holiday season and a happy new year. And once we're done with school next week, we look forward to welcoming you all back after the new year. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Graham. We'll now move into unfinished business, and I'm going to turn it over to the Vice President of the Board, Margaret Marchand, for the second reading of policies.
Thank you, Brian. As per listed on the agenda tonight, this is the second reading and adoption of the policies listed in the agenda. Is there any discussion from any board members? If not, we're ready with those policies.
Okay. Okay, we now have adoption under B. So, Dr. Graham, we're going to take action now to adopt the policies listed?
Yeah, so the adoption is on Part A. That's the second reading and adoption of that group. So you have to have a motion for that group.
Okay, so we'll move anything else for unfinished business? If not, we're going to move into new business, and it will be now the first reading of the following policies.
Again, I'm sorry?
Well, just Brian, you need to, I don't know, sequentially, are you going to do the motion now for that first group, A1?
We could.
Yeah.
We could.
Okay.
Okay, so do we have a motion to accept A1 as presented in the agenda?
Motion.
Motion by trustee Seal, seconded by trustee Themis. Any questions? All in favor? Okay, it's unanimous. Okay, so we'll go back now into the new business. For the first reading of the following policies, I'll turn this over to the vice president.
Again, all of the policies are listed in the agenda under new business. This is the first reading. No action is required by the board. But if there's any questions or discussion of the board, now would be the time. This is just the first reading, no adoptions, no action needed.
Do you want to just read those policy numbers and the policy name?
Sure. We had thought there was just a lot of them tonight, and we were gonna not,
Okay.
but that's fine. I could do that. Policy 2315, board work sessions. Policy 6240, investments. Policy 6800, payroll policy. Policy 9225, acceptable use policy for employees, consultants, volunteers, and other district authorized personnel, use of district computers, networks, internet access, and email systems. Policy 9240, recruiting and hiring. Policy 9241, part-time and substitute professional staff employment. Policy 9310, support staff positions. Policy 9551, conditional appointment and emergency conditional appointment student safety policy. Policy 9610, staff substance abuse. Policy 9620, child abuse in an educational setting. Exhibit 9620E1, confidential report of allegations. Exhibit 9620E2, notice reporting requirements of child abuse. So those, any questions there? Okay, and then the next group are policies that are going to be rescinded. This goes back to the NISBA audit that they went through our policies, and these policies are either they're no longer needed or we have them covered in other policies. Policy 6800, payroll procedures. 9125.1, staff substance abuse policy. 9135, suspected child abuse by a district personnel. And 9241, arrangements for professional staff substitutes.
Let me just add that these policies will be posted on the website till the next meeting for any comment by the public.
Thank you, Susan.
All right, my thanks to the Vice President Marchand, the committee, the policy committee, as well as the district clerk Susan Hammerschmidt for all their work on these policies. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, is there anything else for new business? Okay, there being none, we'll move into consent agenda. Can we have a motion to accept consent agenda items A through E as presented on the board agenda? Motion by trustee Deltato, seconded by trustee Vassiliou. Any questions on the consent agenda?
I just had a question. Section 8, high-risk athletics are not running. And I just wanted to know, what do we do about those coaches? We don't pay them? Does this go back to the original agreement that we had with the coaches at the beginning of the year? Where do we stand?
So when we appointed coaches, and I know that there were 2 on here for the winter season, that's for a retroactive start for the preseason workouts that they did. You'll notice that every appointment for a coach that's been on an agenda, including this one, there was a salary at 25% column, and then the rest within the salary. So these coaches and those coaches who are coaching sports that don't run will have gotten the 25% for the work that they did in the preseason. And then if the season doesn't run, then they wouldn't receive the remainder of that salary.
Okay. And right now, just refresh my memory, are we slated for the low risk? They think they're going to run?
We, to our knowledge, we are still hearing that the low risk are still running. So we are planning with winter track and bowling beginning on January 4th. And we still hadn't heard further information and clarification on the high risk, which is basketball and wrestling. So we're still awaiting information from that's at the state level. the one thing that we did hear was the state championship for those particular sports had been canceled. That was the latest announcement from the New York State Public High School Athletic Association, and now we're waiting for any further information on the rest of the season.
Okay.
Dr. Graham, I just want to.
I'm getting
Sorry,
text that we're not live.
Yeah, I just want to interrupt. I don't know if we're live or not.
Uh, so I just got a text that it was not, that it was broadcasting on the wrong feed.
It was a private feed. He's fixing it.
That's being fixed right now. I don't know what you'd like to do. I mean, it is still being recorded that we can put the meeting up there. I don't have any additional information. I mean, the meeting was short. The meeting's short enough. We could, you could do it again theoretically. You don't need to. I mean, I could certainly once it's live, I can just let everybody know that we had heard that there was a technical issue with it, and then make that announcement that it'll be up on our website. It's probably later today.
Is Roger able to fix it now, or is it?
Anthony, are you hearing?
I've got a text that says from Ken Packard that he got off the phone with Roger and that Roger is sent it to a private feed. He's correcting that and will be live in a minute or two.
All right, so we'll recess for a moment so we can continue the rest of the meeting.
Okay.
Maybe, Margaret, maybe you can just give a quick recap of the policy. Just say we have policies for second reading, first reading.
Okay. Are we live again?
Not yet. Let's give it a minute.
Okay.
I wouldn't necessarily read every policy number again, but.
I was going to just say that the board took action on adopting the policies, correct, Ken? Would that be all right?
Yeah, I mean, once I get an indication that we're live, I can make the announcement that we understood that there was technical difficulty, that the meeting will be posted, and that we can give almost like a little bit of a recap on where we are.
Okay. And then we're not going to read those policies off again, right, Margaret? We'll just say that they were up for a first reading this evening.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You read them so well, too.
Thank you.
It's lovely.
Brian, I forgot you weren't on yet. Ken and I were discussing just to not read them, because especially the second readings, because we read them last. So that's where I forgot when you came back on, we started.
No problem. Joe Zito apologizes for his absence this evening. He's got stuck at work because of the snow.
So we're in a holding pattern, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Brian, what's emergency management saying? How much are we getting?
I said 14 to 18.
Roger, can you hear us? Roger?
I'm seeing it up now. I'm seeing it up now. I think it's live on YouTube.
Is it on?
Dr. Graham, can we continue or?
I don't know. Are we confirmed that we're up and live?
Yeah, I just saw it on YouTube and it looked live.
Let me just test one more place, okay? Because I wouldn't want to proceed and then not have it live.
Understand.
It's definitely on.
It is?
Yeah, I have it up.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll continue. I just want to take a moment to apologize to the public. We did find out we had a technical glitch. So just to do a quick recap, we did call the meeting to order. Dr. Graham gave us a report, and we did have a first reading of policies, and the board did take action accepting and adopting policies as presented by the policy committee. So now we are into consent agenda. We have a motion by Trustee Deltato, a seconded by Trustee Vassialou, and Vice President Margaret Marchand had a question. Has that question been answered?
Yes. The question was about winter sports, and Dr. Graham said that as it stands right now, January 4th, the low risk sports will happen as of right now, and that the high risks have been canceled. And that my question was just about the coaching, and that was all answered.
Well, just with the high risks, we don't have confirmation that they're canceled. The state championships for those are canceled.
Oh, I thought I had read it somewhere. Okay. That
We have not received anything from the New York State Public High School Athletic Association saying that the season is canceled. There's no start date in that's been indicated, and there's been no guidance on how those can proceed. You know, the date has always been January 4th, and we've been waiting more information, but we haven't heard yet.
I apologize. I read in Newsday 2 specific districts had canceled it.
Yes. Yeah.
That's where my confusion is. I apologize.
Yeah. Okay, are there any further questions? If not, I'll call all in favor. John, I can't see your hand. I'm sorry. Are you in favor? Thank you. It's unanimous. Before we move on to the last item on the agenda, I do want to just extend apologies from Trustee Zito, who got stuck at work due to the snowstorm and asked to be excused this evening. The last item we have is an additional action item. It is the agreement for COVID-19 testing services. The superintendent recommends that the board adopt the resolution whereby the Locust Valley Central School District Board of Education authorizes the district to enter into an agreement with ATC Testing and Screening Services for the provision of COVID-19 testing for the 2020-2021 school year as submitted. I'll ask if there is any discussion on that item. Trustee Themis?
Ken, can we just clarify that we're voting strictly on this contract to utilize this company? What we're voting on has nothing to do with the policy or plan surrounding testing of the students should we enter into one of these zones. Is that correct?
That's correct. You may recall that there was a provision that should should any district be it fall within a yellow, orange, or red zone, that there are testing requirements to maintain in-person learning. And there were several options to doing that testing. One is to train people within your own district and have them conduct the tests. The second is to not do the testing at all and go fully remote. The other is you could encourage everybody in your community, and that's students or staff, to go get tested on their own, and then bring that test result to the district. And the other one is to work out some agreement with a group that could come on site and set up the testing and conduct that testing. That's the agreement that the board is voting on. The details of when the testing would occur, all of those types of things. And look, that's only if we're designated as a yellow, orange, or red zone. This is not a plan to set up testing tomorrow and have it open all of the time as a drop-in service or something like that. This is should the district fall within a red, orange, or yellow zone. This is a company that will come in and provide that testing with the details between the district and the company to be worked out in terms of when and that type of thing.
And this wouldn't stop anyone from getting a test elsewhere. This is just an option for someone in the district.
That's correct. So, the concern is that if Locust Valley School District falls into a yellow zone, then chances are there are a lot of other school districts that are also going to be designated as yellow zone schools. And then we know that the lines at our own doctors or some of the walk-in places have started to get longer and longer as there's been an increase in testing. And so this is really a service that we would provide to the students and staff of the community, so that would help us meet that 20% testing requirement. And as I mentioned earlier, Lauren, that's something that there'll be a letter going out with a little bit more information tomorrow on.
Okay. Thank you.
Trustee Vasildo.
Dr. Graham, the entering into the agreement, it's a requirements contract, right? So we're not going to there is no cost to the district unless actual testing services are in fact needed and ultimately utilized. Is that correct?
That is correct. And there's actually, the way the company works is they do the PCR testing and they utilize the personal insurance of the individual. So either the student or the staff. If an individual doesn't have insurance, then they can provide their Social Security card, Social Security information to the company, and then they would bill that through the CARES Act. So they shouldn't be out-of-pocket expenses to the individual either. So no cost to the district nor to the individual.
Good.
Any other?
I just have a
Vice
question.
President Marchant, go ahead.
As of last week, Governor Cuomo hadn't redefined his yellow, orange, and red zones. Has he defined them? I watched, I think, on Monday, but I haven't watched him all week since then. Has he defined what the zones are?
So there's not a number that says, okay, this is the metric that you fall into yellow or orange or red. It's a combination of multiple factors, including positivity rate within the community, hospitalizations within the area. So there are a number of metrics that they utilize to determine what the red, orange, and yellow zones are. And I think we had the conversation at the last board meeting where we had talked about the idea of concentric zones, where red being the most intense, and then setting up orange as a circle around that, and then yellow as a circle around that. And that's when Lauren had brought up the idea that, well, now there are some yellow zones also that don't surround orange and red. And that's true as well, that there are these precautionary zones as well. So we don't have what the metric is. When they were initially set up, I think 3% was the metric for a yellow zone. And the entire Long Island is in excess of that 3% at this point. So I think they've backed off some of those numbers at this point, again, to hopefully maintain in-person learning.
And have they given any guidance if you get into a zone and we're required to do that 20% testing? Have they outlined how you get out of that requirement of the 20% testing?
Yeah. So once you're in a yellow zone, you do the 20% testing within the first 2 weeks. And if the positivity rate of the school is lower than the community, then you don't need to continue that testing. Similarly, when you're in an orange and red, you're looking at positivity rate within the random sampling of students and staff in the school community versus the outside community. And each one of those has a provision then where, once that rate is below, that you do not have to continue that testing. I don't know that that's into perpetuity. In other words, if the community rate goes up again, if there's a new requirement, but I know that you don't have to continue on a biweekly basis at that point.
Any other questions or discussion? Okay, we have a motion to accept the additional action item as presented. Trustee Steele, we have a second. Trustee Vasilew. All in favor? Okay. Opposed? Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. There'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in favor, 1 opposed. Okay. So the motion carries. Anything else to be brought before the board this evening? If not, I just want to, on behalf of the Board of Education, wish everyone, our staff, teachers, students, and our community a very wonderful holiday season, a very healthy new year in 2021. We will have a board meeting on Wednesday, January 6th, 2021. It will also be will be posted. So happy holidays to everybody and with your family. If there's no other business, I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn. Trustee Steele, seconded. Trustee Del Tato, all in favor? Thank you, everybody. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Have a good holiday.
Thank you.
Night.
Happy holidays, everyone.
Happy holidays.
Night, happy
Enjoy
holidays.
it. Good night.